This year, I agreed to drop off and pick up my sister Amina from school, since she just started high school, and it's on the same route that I take to work. But from week 1, Amina has not been respecting my time and has forced us to leave the house late. It's not as if we're late because she's brushing her teeth or doing something else she needs. She's putting on makeup. She can do that in the car or in the bathrooms at school. I recently got reprimanded at work because Amina wouldn't hurry up, and I ended up being 30 minutes late. Luckily, nothing went on my work record. But enough was enough for me with Amina. I told Amina about what happened and that I wouldn't be driving her to and from school anymore. Amina begged me to give her another chance, but I said no. I've already given her enough chances and talks about why it's important that we leave on time, and she didn't treat them seriously. I'm not going to risk my job anymore. My parents respected my decision and contacted a carpool that was willing to pick up and drop off Amina. Amina was added to the carpool's group chat, and now she's begging me to reconsider because this girl Taylor is in the same carpool. Amina and Taylor had some kind of boyfriend drama last year, I guess. Amina did explain what happened a few times to me, but I still don't fully understand if I'm being honest. I don't really think it matters anyway. Taylor hasn't been bullying Amina, they just don't like each other. I told Amina, just don't say anything to Taylor, and Taylor won't say anything to you. You're going to be on your phones anyway. You can just ignore each other, and there shouldn't be any issues. Amina insisted that she wasn't comfortable having to be around Taylor twice a day, but I just told my sister that I didn't care. Sometimes you're going to have to be a bit uncomfortable, but part of life is learning to deal with it and move on. Today I had to tell Amina again that I wasn't changing my mind, and she sarcastically told me that I gave her a great gift for Christmas. I'm wondering if I am actually being unreasonable and don't understand how hard the original boyfriend drama was for Amina, because normally she would have just accepted no the first time. And isn't this persistent? Am I the idiot? Edit. Several people have asked for the details on why Amina and Taylor don't like each other, and if what happened between them was serious. The way Amina described it to me was really messy and complicated, so I'll just condense it as much as possible. Basically, from what I understood of it, 2 of Amina's friends liked the same boy. The boy started dating girl number 1. Girl number 2 accused girl number 1 of stealing him. A lot of other kids got involved. Amina sided with girl number 2, and Taylor sided with girl number 1, and that's why they don't like each other. I'm sure it's awkward for Amina, but it was just standard middle school drama. No bullying occurred, so I don't think it's an excuse for why Amina can't be in the same car as Taylor for an hour a day. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Amina can carpool with people she doesn't like that much. She had plenty of chances to fix the problem. Besides, I'm a boomer and we used to have to walk 3 miles to school each day, uphill each way, in the snow, which was a pretty good trick considering I grew up in San Antonio. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Amina is being the average teenager who is using emotional manipulation to get out of the consequences of her actions. She's going to be fine. She's eventually going to learn. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. Here's the update you've been waiting for. So, it's been 3 days since I told Amina I wouldn't be driving her to school anymore. I thought that would be the end of it, but boy was I wrong. The carpool situation with Taylor has turned into a full-blown nightmare. Remember how I said Amina and Taylor had some boyfriend drama? Well, it turns out it was way more serious than I thought. Amina finally broke down and told me the whole story. Taylor didn't just side with girl number 1. She went on a social media rampage against Amina, spreading rumors and lies. It got so bad that Amina had to delete her accounts for a while. I had no idea it was this intense because Amina kept it all to herself, not wanting to worry our parents or me. Now, with the carpool, Amina's anxiety has been through the roof. She's been losing sleep and her grades are slipping. I felt terrible for not taking her seriously, but I had already made my decision, and I didn't want to backtrack on my word. I told her to stick it out, hoping it would get better. But then 2 days ago, things escalated. Taylor started making snide remarks to Amina in the carpool, and Amina tried to ignore her. But when Taylor took a picture of Amina dozing off and posted it online with a nasty caption, Amina was humiliated. She showed me the post, and I was furious. It was clear that Taylor hadn't left the past behind. I confronted the carpool driver, Mrs. Henderson, who's also Taylor's neighbor. I thought she would be understanding, but she brushed it off, saying kids will be kids and that they should work it out themselves. I couldn't believe she was taking this so lightly. Yesterday, I decided to have a talk with our parents about the whole situation. They were shocked to hear about the online bullying and agreed that Amina shouldn't be in that carpool. They were disappointed in me for not stepping in sooner and for not recognizing the signs of Amina's distress. Feeling like the worst brother ever, I decided to take action. I went to Taylor's house to talk to her parents, hoping they would understand and talk some sense into their daughter. But when I got there, Taylor's mom was defensive, claiming Amina was the one causing trouble. She even accused Amina of trying to steal Taylor's friends. I was stunned by her audacity and left feeling like I hit a brick wall. This morning, things came to a head. Amina refused to go to school, saying she couldn't face Taylor or the carpool. I realized then that I had to do something drastic. I called my boss and explained the family emergency, and thankfully, he was understanding. I decided to drive Amina to school myself, at least until we could figure out a better solution. On the way to school, Amina opened up about how much my support meant to her. She had felt alone in dealing with Taylor and was grateful I finally stepped in. It was a bittersweet moment, knowing I should have been there for her from the start. When we arrived at school, we saw Taylor waiting by the entrance with her friends. Amina tensed up, but I told her I'd walk her in. As we approached, Taylor smirked and made a comment loud enough for us to hear, suggesting Amina needed her big brother to fight her battles. Before I could respond, one of Taylor's friends, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. She told Taylor to stop being a jerk and that what she was doing to Amina wasn't cool. Taylor was taken aback, and her friends started murmuring in agreement. It seemed like Taylor's reign of terror was finally coming to an end. Amina looked at me, a small smile on her face, and for the first time in days, I saw a glimmer of relief in her eyes. We walked into the school together, and I promised her I'd be there to pick her up after school, no matter what. As for the carpool, Mrs. Henderson called me later to apologize. She had talked to the other parents, and they all agreed that Taylor's behavior was unacceptable. They decided to set some ground rules to ensure a respectful environment for everyone. My boyfriend ate the last donut, so I went nuclear, but he just laughed. Our fight turned ugly, and now he's sleeping on the couch, regretting that bite. This is so dumb, but somehow this is one of the bigger fights we've had. I bought a poor quality donut earlier today after my boyfriend and I finished some Christmas shopping and had dinner. I bought one and we were going to share it. We frequently share food. We go to my parents' house to pick up our dog and relax a bit before going home. I'm in the bathroom and my boyfriend starts eating my donut, telling me how bad it is, stale, and that there's no cream in it. It's a Boston cream. I tell him that there's no way he's eating my donut right now, and to stop or at least save me some. He eats the whole donut. I get out of the bathroom, and I'm upset. I wanted to have some donut tonight, but he's being silly and put himself in the corner in the kitchen. Pretending he's there, out of shame, I'm upset and ask him if he really ate it, and he makes a joke and says it was so bad and not worth the calories. I just wanted a donut, so I tell him that, and he should save me some. He says he apologized here, but I do not remember this. We go back into the living room, and my dad is telling me to drop it, and that I'm overreacting for no reason. My mom is telling my boyfriend to apologize, just because it obviously bothered me, and that's reason enough to apologize. My mom was kind of condescending towards him, and the vibe got tense. I don't want to start some dumb fight over nothing, so we say our goodbyes and leave. On the way home, I ask him to apologize, and he says I'm making a big deal out of nothing and hugely overreacting. I say he's gaslighting me. We're both upset. We get home and keep talking about it in circles. I just want an apology to end it, and he starts yelling that I'm being a 5-year-old and that I made a scene in front of your parents and that I'm overreacting so badly he doesn't recognize me. I'm mad because he's gaslighting me into thinking I'm wrong and yelling at me for no reason, and it doesn't matter if the donut was bad or not. At least half of it was mine. Anyways, he yells my feelings are hurt and we go to separate rooms and chill out for a bit. Later, we talk about it a bit and both apologize but maintain that we are in the right. So Reddit, who's right in this extremely dumb fight? We have both reviewed this post and agree with its facts. Him. He claims he wouldn't have been mad if I ate the last Oreo, as an example, and that I dragged it out for too long, meaning my anger because it was just a donut. He says that he felt singled out by my mom, and that's worse than the donut. Edit. Boyfriend insists I add that we've been together for 8 years, and that if this happened a month into our relationship, he agrees it would be psychotic. But what's a donut or two after 8 years? Update. He bought me a box of 6 donuts the next day, my favorite ones, and he apologized. All is good, but thanks, Reddit. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. He ate your half of the donut. He knew you were meant to share it. He then made excuses for eating the whole thing, and then tried to blame you for overreacting, and tried the old, I wouldn't be mad if you did the same. You know he would be. He owes you a donut, or a donut equivalent. Comment 2. Not the idiot. 1. Because he ate your food. 2. Because he's the one dragging it out and trying to deny he messed up. I don't know if this counts as gaslighting, but it is definitely a bit of Darvo. Now for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post about the infamous donut debacle. I never imagined I'd be back here with an update, but here we are. So, after the last incident, things were pretty smooth between my boyfriend and me. We moved past the donut drama, and life went on as usual. We've been together for 8 years, and we've had our fair share of ups and downs, but nothing quite like this. Now let's fast forward to about a month ago. My boyfriend and I were at my parents' house for a family dinner. It was a typical evening, filled with laughter and stories from the past. My mom, as always, was the perfect hostess, making sure everyone's plates were full. My dad, the eternal joker, was in his element, cracking jokes and keeping the mood light. As the night went on, my boyfriend excused himself to go to the kitchen. I didn't think much of it until I heard a commotion. I walked in to find my boyfriend and my mom in a heated argument. Apparently, my mom had made a comment about the donut incident, teasing him about it. My boyfriend, who had been feeling a bit sensitive about being the butt of the joke for so long, didn't take it well. The argument escalated quickly, with my mom insisting it was all in good fun and my boyfriend feeling disrespected. I jumped in, trying to mediate the situation, but the tension was thick. My dad tried to lighten the mood with a joke, but it fell flat. The evening ended on an awkward note, with my boyfriend and I leaving earlier than planned. On the drive home, we were both silent. The air was heavy with unspoken words. When we finally spoke, it was clear that we were both hurt. My boyfriend felt like my family didn't respect him, and I felt torn between the two sides I loved. We spent the next few days avoiding the topic, but it was like an elephant in the room. Finally, we sat down to talk. It was a long and emotional conversation, with both of us expressing our feelings and concerns. We realized that we needed to find a compromise, a way to move forward without hurting each other or our families. The compromise we came up with was simple yet effective. My boyfriend agreed to let go of the grudge he held against my mom's teasing, understanding that it was her way of showing affection. In return, I promised to stand up for him if the teasing ever went too far, ensuring that he felt supported and respected. But that's not all. The real test of our compromise came just last week. We were back at my parents' house for another family gathering. This time, the atmosphere was different. My mom, aware of the previous tension, was more mindful of her comments. My boyfriend, on his part, was more relaxed and took the jokes in stride. The evening was going well until dessert was served. You guessed it, donuts. My heart skipped a beat, worried that this might trigger old arguments. But to my surprise, my boyfriend reached for a donut, took a bite, and with a smile, offered it to me, saying, "Want to share?" The room went silent for a moment before erupting into laughter. It was a moment of healing, a sign that our compromise had worked. We had turned a sore point into a shared joke, strengthening our relationship and our bond with my family. As we left my parents' house that night, my boyfriend squeezed my hand and whispered, "Thanks for having my back." I smiled, knowing that we had both grown from the experience. Parents explode over baby's room, so I stand firm, and Dad clears the clutter. Our holiday ends with unexpected promises. I am a 32-year-old female, and I moved away from my home state about 5 years ago. In June of this year, my husband, 33-year-old male, and I welcomed a baby boy. He is the first and only grandchild on my side. My husband and I decided to fly back to my home state to spend Christmas with my family. My parents were excited and assured us they would get the house baby ready. My parents live in a 4-bedroom house. My parents have the master, and the other 3 rooms belong to my sisters and me. But now that my folks are empty nesters, the rooms are unused except for occasional visits. They kept my sisters' rooms relatively the same, but they turned my old room into my dad's office. I was a little sad, but it's not my home anymore, and I don't get to dictate how other people utilize their house. But in my 11 by 8 foot childhood room, there is now a queen-size bunk bed, dresser, desk, chair, and side table. That alone makes it cramped. But since my dad is very disorganized, there's usually also paperwork on every surface, including top bed bunk, and random crap from the house. It's basically a storage closet with a bed. It's so cluttered that the floor isn't even visible most of the time. 2 weeks ago, I asked if we could not stay in my old room. My parents didn't even entertain it. They said that's where I've always stayed when I visited, and I've never had an issue with it. I've always taken issue with it. I just never said anything. I explained that there is no room for 2 adults and a pack and play in there, but my mom just said they would make it work. The next day, my mom sent me a picture of the room with a pack and play in it. The bed took up the last bit of floor space. I showed it to my husband, and we agreed that would not work for us. I let my parents know that we would figure something else out. But after looking into local hotels, we decided to cancel the trip altogether. My parents live in a very touristy place, and getting a hotel for a week on short notice was more than we could afford. I broke the news to my parents, and they were not happy. They said I was overreacting and the room would be fine. I told them we would miss them, but we couldn't afford a hotel, and in order for the room to be usable, the floor would have to be at least a little visible. They asked if that meant we would never be visiting, and I said, I don't know if we will never visit, but I do know we will never stay in that room as long as it's in that condition. If it got decluttered, or you allowed us to stay in a different room, or if we saved up enough for a hotel, then we could visit. Now my entire family is mad at me. My parents told the extended family we were coming, and now they have to tell them we are not. They're also sad they won't get to see their grandson like they planned. My sisters are also calling me entitled for being picky about a free place to stay and expecting one of them to take the crappy room. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. After my mum had promised me the good guest bedroom when I was pregnant with baby number 2 and then went back on her word, we didn't visit for a year. The next time they did keep their promise, and we as a family of 4 got the good bedroom, while my brother with his kid and no partner got the smaller room with the crappy floor. Somehow, not visiting for a year got the message across. Maybe that will be what it takes for you too. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Them not making a sincere effort to declutter your room so it can accommodate 2 adults and an infant, or either of your sisters sucking it up and taking the crappy room, shows that they clearly aren't that excited to see their grandchild and host your small family. It really wasn't a huge ask of you, and I think you have a right to be hurt. They couldn't at least clean up a little, or offer up a different room. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a busy week, and I've got quite the update for you all. So after I told my parents we weren't coming for Christmas, things got pretty tense. My sisters were blowing up my phone, calling me selfish for not just sucking it up and staying in the cramped room. I tried to explain to them that it wasn't just about the room, but also about the safety and comfort of my baby and us as a family. They didn't seem to get it. A couple of days later, my mom called me. She sounded really upset and said she missed us and wanted to see her grandson. I felt bad, but I stood my ground. I reminded her that we just needed a little more space, and it wasn't fair to cram us into my old room that was now an office/storage unit. Now, here's where things get interesting. My dad, who's usually pretty quiet, called me the next day. He apologized for not taking our concerns seriously and said he understood why we needed more space. He told me he'd been thinking about it and decided to clear out my old room. He said he wanted to make it a proper guest room for us and the baby. I was shocked. My dad is not the type to change his mind easily, so this was a big deal. He even sent me pictures of the room with all the clutter gone, the paperwork filed away, and the bunk bed replaced with a comfortable queen bed and enough space for the pack and play. I couldn't believe it. My husband and I talked it over, and we decided to give it another shot. We booked new flights and headed to my home state. When we arrived, my parents were over the moon to see their grandson. The room was just as my dad had promised, and it actually felt like a cozy little space for our family. The first few days were great. We caught up with my parents, and they got to bond with their grandson. But then, my oldest sister came over. She was still upset about the whole situation and confronted me in front of everyone. She accused me of being dramatic and causing unnecessary drama. I was about to respond when my mom stepped in. She told my sister that family is about compromise and understanding each other's needs. She explained that they wanted us to be comfortable and that it was important for them to have us there. My sister was taken aback, and I could tell she felt a little guilty. The rest of the visit went smoothly. My parents made sure we had everything we needed, and my sisters eventually came around and apologized for giving me a hard time. We spent the week enjoying family time, and it was actually really nice. On the last day, my parents pulled me aside. They thanked us for coming and said they were sorry for not listening to us sooner. They promised that from now on, they'd make sure we always had a comfortable place to stay when we visited. As we packed up to leave, I felt a sense of relief. It had been a stressful couple of weeks, but in the end, my family came together. We hugged my parents goodbye, and they waved us off, already making plans for the next visit. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.